All right, let's talk about one of the most exciting and, yeah, sometimes confusing topics out there, Bitcoin. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you, nice and simple, right from the very beginning. So, you've heard the buzz, right? But if you've ever felt like the whole crypto world is a bit much, you are definitely not alone. Our goal here is just to cut through all that noise and give you what you actually need to know to get started. So, first things first, let's tackle the biggest question of all. What is Bitcoin really? To get it, we've got to go back to the idea that started this whole revolution. Okay, picture this. It's 2009, and this mysterious person, or maybe a group of people, nobody knows for sure, called Satoshi Nakamoto releases this idea to the world. And the core concept? It was a total game changer. A type of digital money that doesn't need banks, doesn't need governments, just a pure peer-to-peer system for money. And if you want to know just how far it's come, you have to hear this story. Back in 2010, the very first real-world purchase with Bitcoin happened. It was for 2 pizzas. And the price? Get this. It costs a whopping 10,000 Bitcoins. It's wild to think that what started as a cool little experiment is now the biggest cryptocurrency on the planet. So what's the big deal? Why are people so into it? Well, it kind of comes down to a few key things. For a lot of folks, it's an investment. They're betting on its value going up over time. Others actually use it for payments or to send money across the globe super fast. But for many, the real magic is that it's decentralized. It's a financial system that isn't controlled by the traditional players. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why, but how does this whole thing actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine that makes Bitcoin run. The secret sauce behind Bitcoin is a technology called the blockchain. You could basically think of it as a digital receipt book. But here's the kicker. Unlike a bank's private records, the blockchain is totally public and it's copied across thousands of computers all over the world. Every single transaction is checked and verified by the network, which is what makes it so incredibly secure. You know, this is probably the best way to think about it. The blockchain is like a global notebook that everyone can look at, but absolutely no one can go back and erase or change what's written. Once a transaction is on there, it is on there for good. And that's what makes it so trustworthy without needing a bank in the middle. So how do you actually use it? It's actually pretty simple. First, you get a digital wallet. That wallet gives you a public address. Think of that like your email address or bank account number. It's safe to share with people so they can send you Bitcoin. To send, you just need their public address. But listen up. The single most important thing is your private key. That is the master key to your funds. It's your signature, your password, everything. You have to guard that thing with your life. All right, you get the basics. You're ready to move past the theory. So how do you actually get your hands on some Bitcoin? Let's walk through the real-world steps of making your very first purchase. Your first big choice is where to buy. And you've really got 2 main options here. For almost everyone just starting out, a well-known centralized exchange is going to be the easiest and most straightforward path. Peer-to-peer platforms are out there, and they're more flexible, but they do require a bit more know-how, so they're probably best left for when you're more experienced. Now, once you pick an exchange, the process itself is going to feel pretty familiar. You'll sign up, you'll have to verify your identity. That's a standard security thing called KYC, or Know Your Customer. Then you link your bank account or card to deposit some money. And that's it. You're ready to go, select Bitcoin, and place your first buy order. But hold on, before you jump in and buy, here is probably the most important piece of advice anyone can give you. Just start small. Seriously. Think of it like dipping your toe in the water. Put in a small amount you're comfortable with just to get the hang of the process. It lets you learn the ropes without taking on any big risks. So, you did it. You bought some Bitcoin. Awesome. But now we've got to talk about what is, without a doubt, the most important part: keeping it safe. When you own Bitcoin, you are your own bank. And that's a huge responsibility. When it comes to storage, you've got 2 main flavors: hot wallets and cold wallets. Hot wallets are connected to the internet. Think apps on your phone or computer. They're super convenient for small amounts you might want to spend. Cold wallets, on the other hand, are completely offline hardware devices. These are like a personal vault, the absolute best way to secure larger amounts for the long term. And look, these next few things, they're not suggestions. They're the absolute must-dos. Your wallet will give you something called a seed phrase. It's a list of words. Write it down on paper and hide it somewhere safe where no one will find it. Never, and I mean never, share it with anyone. And of course, use strong passwords, turn on two-factor authentication, and please don't leave a large amount of crypto just sitting on an exchange. Now that you know the A to Z of buying and securing Bitcoin, let's talk about the investment side. And it's so important that you go into this with your eyes wide open, understanding both the incredible potential and the very, very real risks. The very first thing you have to wrap your head around is that Bitcoin's price is a roller coaster. I'm not kidding. Big swings, up or down, can happen in a single day. And that is exactly why you'll always hear this advice. Only, and I mean only, invest what you would be okay with losing. So how on earth do you deal with that kind of ride? Well, there are two really popular strategies for beginners that can help. The first is called HODL. It actually started as a funny typo for hold in an old forum post, and now it just means hold on for dear life. Basically, you buy and you hold for the long haul. The other is dollar cost averaging, or DCA. That just means you invest a smaller, fixed amount on a regular schedule, say every week or month. It smooths out the bumps and helps you avoid making emotional decisions.
So when you boil it all down, this is really what it comes to. Being successful with Bitcoin isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. It all comes down to three things: knowledge, security, and patience. Do your homework, lock down your assets, and have a long-term mindset.
And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? What Bitcoin represents for a lot of people is a new kind of financial freedom, a way to have more control over your own money. Is it the future? Honestly, only time will tell. But now, you have the tools to understand the conversation and be a part of the journey. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.